opening of Congress, the final declaration was read aloud by Joe Bailey Wells, a bishop of the Anglican Church of England. Aside from direct calls to address climate change, economic inequality, and various social justice issues, the declaration states that the Congress is, quote, guided by our shared desire for a just, peaceful, secure, and prosperous world, bringing to mind 1 Thessalonians 5:3, which warns, when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon. Part must not yield to the temptation to turn into power, further pushing the church and state into unity. Quote, no then to confusion between politics and transcendence, but no also to their separation. Just like ancient Babylon, the early Roman church was both a church and state power, religious and political, and it was also a conglomerate of various pagan belief systems, before it ultimately merged with Christianity. Is Pope Francis trying to lead religions of the world into a merger with the Roman Church? In his speech, he clearly states, quote, our human family cannot advance if simultaneously united and divided, interconnected and torn apart. The Catholic Church believes in the unity of the human family. Based on what he says, it seems he does want to unite the religions of the world under the banner of Catholicism. Pope Francis began his reign by expressing a desire for unity with the Eastern Orthodox, the Anglicans, and many other Protestant denominations, claiming, quote, brothers and sisters, Martin Luther's protest is over. Is yours? Then Pope Francis began courting Muslims later in his reign. Quote, to Muslims who worship the one God, I see a tangible sign of the will to grow in mutual esteem and cooperation for the common good of humanity. This common good phrase is the true heart of the papacy, hidden in plain sight, not the divinity of Jesus Christ. That's why the Pope can be seen wearing ancient pagan symbols from around the world, because his goal is unity of religions under the Catholic Church. Catholic, which means universal. This goal is made clear by Alice A. Bailey, the prophetess of the UN. Quote, there will not be any dissociation between the universal church, the sacred lodge of all true Masons, and the inner circles of the esoteric society. In this way, the goals and work of the United Nations shall be solidified, and a new church of God led by all religions and by all the spiritual groups shall put an end to the great heresy of separateness.
Dude, this guy's voice
Although
makes me want to fucking kill
states,
myself.
quote, come out from
Enemy
among
sentry
them
gun
and be
active.
separate. Alice A. Bailey further states, quote, then there will be neither Christian nor heathen, neither Jew nor Gentile, but simply one great body of believers, gathered out of all the current religions. Prophetically, the Bible clearly teaches that there will be some kind of universal religion, a beast system, that enforces a mark used to buy and sell, and that this beast will be led by a political religious leader that requires worship for your personal survival. This Congress of leaders of world and traditional religions led by Pope Francis is a step in the direction of a new world religion. There's no question about that. The only question left is, will you be ready to avert its deception and stand up to the
Enemy
beast and
personal
its
radar in
mark
the air.
through the power of Jesus Christ? This is Brian Wilson with Infowars.com.
You're in last place. Strategy.
The globalists think they're going to enslave humanity, that they're going to win. But I believe and bet on humanity, and I know they got a tiger by the tail. We have a special guest that I saw on the American Journal a few weeks ago with Harrison Smith, and I wanted to get him on. He's here with us from an organization that was more right than anybody out there, even more right than Alex Jones. We'll talk to you in a moment. But let me set the table with this information. Remember, this came out last week. It was in Der Spiegel. It was in the German news. This is what the Great Reset looks like. Germany's Greens plan to ban native Germans from a third of jobs, promote diversity. They don't just bring in outside populations, they then don't let you have a job. German Greens plan to ban native Germans from a third of jobs, promote diversity. Now, a 2002 document, several documents, on your own screen, what about the UN said they'll bring in 600 plus million people for replacement migration in North America, and that they would do the same thing in Europe with 240 million. Anybody go to the UN website talking replacement migration, you'll be reading it. But they have ADL, the Southern Poverty Law Center, speeches everywhere saying if you say this, you're banned. You know what else YouTube just restricted? Videos from 2016 of Democrats questioning the election, questioning machines, and trying to block the electors. But see, once you start censoring, you got to cover your old lie, with new lie, with more lies. So they don't want you knowing about the replacement migration, even though that's what's happening now. So there's a headline by Kellum McGreen. This is the infancy of a global police force. Chinese law enforcement services stations operating in the USA and Canada and other countries and dozens of other nations. It's actually over 50. To quote, monitor Chinese citizens inside the U.S. This isn't the infancy. This is 9 months pregnant. This is the global social credit score based on China. This is big tech corporations allied with authoritarian governments. This is the owner of major basketball team coming out and saying, I don't care about the leaders, but later. Here's some of the headlines. Chinese police service centers surveilling nationals across USA, Europe, and Canada. Are you paying attention? Breaking dozens of CCP police stations are surveilling PRC nationals in cities across the USA and Europe and Canada. Just like they're setting up dozens of Capitol police stations across the U.S. China has opened overseas political stations in the U.S. and Canada to monitor Chinese political opposition. They don't just have Swallowswell with a communist Chinese spy. So that's where we are. I'm no fan of what Russia's doing, but Russia's not up in our grill. China is, and the globalists set it up. And the John Birch Society was founded more than, 60 plus years ago, when an Army officer, John Birch, who didn't go along with the CIA in 1949, handing all the power to Mao Zedong to defeat Chiang Kai-shek. He was tortured to death, and so the term the John Birch Society was founded. I'm not a member of the John Birch Society, but my dad read their writings and woke up when he was young. My grandfather, his father was aware of it. My dad, when he was a teenager, did radio broadcast in Dallas. He'd drive up to my ranch, 100 miles south of there.
Enemy personal radar in the air.
And the John Birch Society, if you go read the book and the interviews and the speeches they gave, it all was right. It all came true. So, you wonder why Alex Jones is tomorrow's news today. Well, 50 years news today is the John Birch Society. Robert Owens joins us to balance the hour. National Council member of the John Birch Society. He is the Midwest Regional Field Director, the National Council member of the John Birch Society, the writer of the New American Magazine, also weekly video series Constitution Corner at jbs.org, jbs.org. Prior to joining the field staff, Robert was a trial lawyer and practiced law for 2 decades. TheNewAmerican.com is the magazine, jbs.org. He joins us now to talk about the Great Reset, the New World Order, and where we are. To say that the John Birch Society and their founder have been vindicated, my friend Robert Owens, is an understatement. Why don't you start with a history of the JBS, the original Alex Jones?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Alex, for having me on the show. And I wouldn't be much of a Bircher if I didn't begin by saying, Alex, if you're not a member, let me invite you to join the John Birch Society, which you can do online at jbs.org. We have had tremendous numbers over 60 plus years. 4-star admirals, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, scores of Medal of Honor winners that have been among our ranks that have pursued...
The heart of the American resistance is the John Birch Society. Start at the beginning. Tell us about John Birch.
Yeah, so John Birch was actually a Baptist missionary in China in 1940. And when the Doolittle Raiders, the men that
Enemy shield turret on the field.
Hornet and bombed Tokyo at the beginning of the war, when they rained down out of the sky, there was this Baptist missionary named John Birch that rounded them all up, led them over several hundred miles of enemy-occupied territory to a general named Claire Chennault.
Time's up, move your asses.
Chennault was in charge of the U.S. Flying Tigers. He was so impressed with this guy for what he did with the Doolittle Raiders that he gave him a battlefield commission on the spot. Now, since he was a missionary, Birch said, well, I'd love to be a chaplain.
I expect
But Chennault said, well, son, I've got a chaplain. What I need is an intelligence officer. Birch went on to become the most decorated intelligence officer in the Pacific Theater during World War II. He was a dedicated patriot. At the end of World War II, just between the last bomb being dropped on Nagasaki and the surrender